Hey everybody, cheers and good morning. I actually need to go get another cup. I won't be on very long this morning. Stephanie, I see your pictures from your visit with the family, so I guess you're probably still at the hotel. Maybe you'll see this later today or tomorrow. Okay, I left this music on purpose because I don't imagine that the copyright police can even recognize this with their algorithms. Listening to some Frank Lowe this morning because I wanted to just say a note in passing regarding Abdul Wadud, who plays cello on here, and I don't have many things by Abdul Wadud, but he passed away recently. People pass away all the time, and so I'm not dedicated to trying to be the town crier of so-and-so died and we should remember them. When it happens, it happens. So, because I was thinking about Michael Henderson, who also passed away recently, I wanted to mention both of them, and I was looking to see what I had by Abdul Wadud, and I have none of his solo albums. He plays cello, and he's been involved with the avant-garde and free jazz scene in, worldwide since the 70s. Quite the player. And this album, which I keep showing, Fresh by Frank Lowe, is a tenor player that is an acquired taste. He's a fire player, and he, I think he is really edgy, and can be a challenge to align yourself with. This is a very good album, Fresh, and Abdul Wadud's contribution is major. Michael Henderson, after he played with Miles Davis, went on and did some R&B records, which I don't have, but I wanted to mention because his stint with Miles Davis was phenomenally important, not just to me, but to a lot of musicians from my generation who were into jazz and jazz rock and emerging fusion. And a couple of albums that Miles Davis made these are, for me, the superlatives. I cannot think of enough superlatives about this album and the next album. Miles Davis Live Evil. This is the reissue on blue vinyl. I have an original. I still remember, honestly, just like I can remember the first time I heard okay, well, this is it, because I can't, I was going to try to make a comparison. First time I heard jaw-dropping. This was jaw-dropping. I remember my older brother James bringing this home and not quite understanding the artwork to start with, but when the music started, particularly What I Say, just bam, it's like, oh man, this is truly on fire. It's like, it was almost like you could see sparks coming off the stereo. So much energy, and to think that those sessions were right around the same time as Bitches Brew. Wow. I mean, wow. Miles Davis wasn't the first to marry rock, jazz, and R&B, but the way that he let it happen in his midst was truly groundbreaking and busted the door open for everyone. This is the other album I want to just enthuse about, On the Corner. If you don't know this album, this is everything from jazz, rock, to psychedelic, to world music. Badal Roy's tabla playing on this, and the use of the tambura, or the thing that makes that droning sound from India, it's central to the magic of the sound. I think this cover is really prescient too. It's just this is On the Corner. It's not even jokey. It's just bam. That's how it is on the corner. So I wanted to enthuse about that for a second. Partially what brought that to mind was something I was listening to last night. Come on, I did not put it away. No, I didn't. So when it comes to modern jazz and jazz, rock, fusion, whatever, the Herbie Hancock Mwandishi era is some of my favorites still. And one album that came out of that era was this album in 1974. Yeah. Eddie Henderson, Inside Out. He was the trumpeter in Herbie Hancock's Mwandishi band, and that entire band is on here. So in essence, it's another Mwandishi band album, and this one is excellent. And what I like about this, and what I would ask, or if I could hang out with Robert Glasper and some of those guys that are doing this thing called Jazz is Dead or Not Dead, or whatever they're saying, or what, maybe that's not related. I like what Robert Glasper is doing, but there's a sameness to this new so-called jazz sound that is not here. I can hear that it's always the same players, that they try different things on even on each album. Besides this one, there's another one called Realization by Eddie Henderson. That's just fantastic. I think I can easily, yes, grab it. Yes. This is also the same group. Realization. This one is more ostinato, like the Mwandishi album. Just fantastic. The use of synthesizer, Patrick Gleason on here. I was just talking to Ron E. Beck. Watch that interview. A lot of you aren't watching it. What's up with that? What is that? It's interesting to me. You're watching me. I know what you're watching me for, but still, why aren't you watching Ronnie Beck? Watch that interview, people. Seriously. And then go back further and watch the interviews with Didier Malherbe of Gong and Jonas Bier of Mew. Find out about these musicians y'all obviously don't know shit about, okay? Yeah, let me get a little irritable. Find out something, people. Watch them damn videos. Do you feel me? Ain't nothing but love coming from here. This is fantastic. These albums that I'm showing here, and the Herbie Hancock, some of my top albums of all time. See, I would have a top 100 that would shift depending on when you ask me. But I can guarantee you that these albums that I just showed you would be in all those top 100s. Some of the most fantastic music I've ever heard. And I'm directly inspired by the Miles Davis way of jamming. When I had the band Chemicals, that was my approach to the way that we improvised, was that based on the Miles model. That's what I call it. I'll call it that. It's so strong. Some more records before I go, okay? Good to hear from you folks. You know, yeah, these are strange times. There's no justification for what's happening politically these days. It's really bad. And it's like, what happened to all the mature adults? What happened to them? Where did they go? So that brings to mind more Mother Again, Jazz Codes. I've been kind of watching Twitter more lately because of the chatter regarding the national security threat, is what I'm calling it, okay? And the FBI search warrant. Watching that closely because there needs to be accountability. That can't be swept under the rug. But while I was on there, I did one musical post, because mostly I don't post on music on Instagram. But I post on there where I'm saying now, after listening to this multiple times, More Mother's Jazz Codes is probably going to be my album of the year. The other contender from my point of view is Black Midi's new album, Hellfire. But when I posted this, someone else who I don't know responded, and I thought it was interesting. He said, More Mother is pretty good, but Dami and JD have it. Do you know those young people? I don't have the album yet. I do want to get it on vinyl. Dami and JD Beck, is it? It's this young white couple. The kid looks like a kid. I don't know how old he is. And he plays this style that I first noticed with Flying Lotus, where it's like it's almost offbeat, off tempo, but it isn't. Now that stuff is pretty hot, but for my money and for my consciousness, More Mother beats them by a mile because of what not only how this is put together musically. Yes, I recognize her work with Justin Broderick, ex-Godflesh. I know about him. But this beats the Dami and J.D. Beck for me personally because of not only the oral content, but the head content. More Mother is so on point and so deep how she's saying what she's saying. And it just resonates with me so strong because she's talking about the lack of justice for common people around the world of all types. And she's saying it so succinctly. More Mother is the shit. So I'm hoping to get the Dami and J.D. Becker, if that's his name. I'd like to get that on vinyl. And I do recognize that it's good. I watched some live performances of them. Interesting. They're good players. A couple other things that are sitting out that I played. Deep Purple, Book of Taliesyn. I remember when this first came out. Love it. And this is a different Deep Purple than the one that we later ended up with. John Lord and Richie Blackmore are here. Purple vinyl reissue, isn't that pretty? I love this album. And when it used to come on the FM radio, particularly the song Ring That Neck, was always a big plus for me because it's like that was the only time I could hear it because I couldn't afford the album. And it really stuck out to me. This is very much progressive rock as much as hard rock or anything else. Love this album. And there's another track on here. Yeah, their version of River Deep Mountain High. I love the intro on this. I love it. When it would come on the FM radio, I just had to stop what I was doing and hear the whole thing. I haven't listened to Acid Mothers in a while, so I put this on yesterday, and I'm thinking I'm about to get rid of some of this Acid Mothers. Acid Mothers Temple and the Melting Paraiso UFO. They are something to experience live. Kawabata Makoto, or whichever his name, Kawabata Makoto, the guitarist, is quite a force. I've met him twice. Very interesting man. He's probably crazy. And that's not a diss. It's probably, just using regular languages. Probably very eccentric. Some of this music just churns on and on and on. And it's almost like it's supposed to maybe be like a mantra that you get lost in. But I find some of it irritating because there will be this repeating riff. And on this one, if they took that stupid riff out and just let me hear everything else, it would elevate it. So it got me to thinking. It's like I've got a collection of Acid Mothers, but I'm going to go through these, and it's like they're a special band. I've seen them live twice, really enjoyed them, but it's like when I played this, it's like, man, this ain't nothing to listen to. Okay. Okay, I listened to this. Okay, here's some real contrast for you because this is how I listen. But this is how I think a lot of deep music lovers listen. We're all over the map. You listen to one thing, then you listen to another. So, for example, I hadn't played any Jean-Luc Ponty for years. Got to the point where I really kind of took him for granted, to be honest with you, as an artist. These albums are great fusion albums. Really lovely melodically. His version of Stevie Wonder's As on here is great. It is. Mystical Adventures. I saw him with the Mahavishnu Orchestra, Mark II. And I found it interesting because I noted this. I'm a player, and I noticed these things. Jean-Luc Ponty had had the audacity to see if he could smoke John McLaughlin on McLaughlin's date. I kept watching him try to do it. Ponty is good, but all he would do is just stoke John McLaughlin to take it higher. Ponty couldn't do it. Ponty was excellent. All he could do was turn up, but he couldn't take it up. John McLaughlin just blazed. I'm glad I got to experience that. Seen John McLaughlin twice. Total contrast. I listened to most of this. Aha, Scoundrel Days. Now, why? When they first put that hit out, Take On Me, with that iconic video, which is part of it, that caught my attention, I really got into the song and the guy's voice. It's a strong... Yeah, I like that kind of voice, okay? That European, almost choir boy type of voice. I like that. I do. I also like pop music, and there's some good pop songs on here. Cry Wolf is a very strong pop song. I like this album a lot. Scoundrel Days. Also of note, Mags, the keyboardist from Aha, was one of the members of Apparatchik with Jonas Beer from Mew. Those records are extremely hard to find and expensive online to find used, but it's really good. So, another total contrast, but I really got into this last night because music is the healer, and I love all kinds. Someone sent this to me. I'm blown away. I don't remember who sent it, because this album is, all their albums are very collectible and not cheap to get. Agalloch. I think they're from the West Coast, possibly up around Oregon maybe. Kind of a dark, doomy sort of metal-y sound. Agalloch. And this album is Marrow of the Spirit. Really nice how they do the graphics. This is on clear vinyl, and I got swept away by this. There's actually a slight raggedness to this band's playing. It's like they're really pushing their abilities, and as a result, it really strengthens this. Man, I really feel this album. I don't know what they're singing about. Don't care. I can feel it. That's what I like about music. This, there used to be this antiquated notion that soul music only belonged to black people, which I knew then, back in the 60s when they were saying that shit. I knew that wasn't true, but it's definitely not true. All music, when it's coming from the reality of the people and their experience, that's their soul. It's soul music, so I feel that. So that's what I have to say today, and I'll say it again. I'll encourage you folks, not only watch the interviews that I've done with people, but listen to the interview I did on the radio. Listen to that podcast with Stuart Chittenden. It's pretty revealing, actually. He asked me questions. We talk about suicide and some other things. Check it out. Have a good day, people, and talk to me.